Jason's
Can
quiet.
you hear me?
I can, yeah.
All right,
Can you hear me?
welcome.
All
We
right,
are
good.
live officially. I hear you. Here we are again. We've got people already lined up. We got 5 people
I
viewing
know,
already.
5 people
And this is-
instantaneously.
And this is when we just moved our time slot over. That's something I want to talk about because I need to rearrange a bit the schedule for my stuff. So starting, let me see, I believe it's starting next week. This is the 28th. Starting next week, we're going to be on Mondays. And that will be basically our permanent time, except for where that overlaps.
Jason. Look.
I'm introducing what's going on. I can't see anything because I'm. What are you talking about?
It's your mama. She's watching. Oh wait, no, it says Fox, not Hare. I got my wild animals confused.
Well,
Sorry about that.
That's my mom. That's my mom.
Oh, that's right. Oh,
but
okay.
Let me get through announcements just real quick. Hold on. Before you go nuts about something else. Hold on. So we're going to be meeting regularly on Mondays, except for the holidays of Christmas and New Year's that overlap with Monday. So on Christmas and New Year's, we'll be meeting on Tuesdays. Tuesday the 26th, we'll do Joshua at 6:30. And then January 2nd, we're not going to do Joshua. We're going to do Wine-Green, but not Joshua because I need to do my Greek lesson that I'm canceling the week before. So normally, Joshua will now be at 5 p.m. on Mondays, and then Wine-Green at 6:30, and then the Patreon-only Wine-Green at 7:30. All times are given Eastern Standard Time. You can check the calendar, of course, at thehebrewcafe.com/main/live streaming. If you go to thehebrewcafe.com, it'll be at the top as an option. Live streaming, that's the whole calendar there. Jonathan, you got anything else to say by way of announcements or anything?
I just feel like it's really cool that your mom changed her name from one wild animal to another. It's like from a hare to a fox. Yeah, I don't have anything other than one of these days I'd like to do. Maybe we could do a excursus into word order in Genesis 3. That might be fun to do at some point.
Or word order generally. Well, hello, Stephen. I'm going to go down the line of people who are saying hi. Hello, Stephen. Hello, Adele. Adele's going to be joining me in my Deuteronomy course that we're opening in the beginning of December 5th. It's one of the reasons I had to rearrange all of my times. My mom is here, Lori Fox, in the comments. This is her first time listening. She doesn't know Hebrew at all, but she'll be listening anyway.
Yeah, all right.
Gandalf, hello. Welcome back. TSR, don't think I recognize the initials, but welcome. Colton, hello. Radar, Eduardo, good to see you. Luke is not joining us today.
Uh-oh.
The time change, we're moving to Mondays.
Yeah.
What?
So Jason you paused and broke up for a minute. So Jason just said Luke can't meet us today.
Yeah, because he's in Germany.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in Germany. Here it's 1:30 in Tel Aviv, and over there it's 12:30 at night, and for him it's just too much. I intend to be up till 5 o'clock this morning doing these lessons. Muriel, welcome back. Good to see you. Glenn. Brilliant. All right, guys. So we are back to the book of Joshua. We finished up to verse 11 last week. We had a good, I think, a good session. Luke gave a rundown of what we did there on the blog. If you go to thehebrewcafe.com, at the top, click on blog, and you'll see the last two blog entries that are not news related are from Luke, where he goes over some of the things we went over in our session. So let me share the I'll share the reading, and we'll get started. We're in verse 12 of Joshua chapter 1 as we push through. We'll see how Jonathan and I things together this week without Luke. Jonathan, you want to get us started?
I do not. You start us out.
Okay.
All right.
ולראובני ולגדי ולחצי שבט המנשה. I guess I'll grab a pen for you guys. Let me do this with a highlighter for you. I forget to do this before I start reading. Pointer. Ve'la-reuveni, the stress there's. It makes sense to have the stress on reuveni. That's where I would think.
But the gentilic ending, I think, is always on the last syllable.
No, this accent.
Which
one this is called? This one is always on the end of the word, so it doesn't mark the stress. La reuveni, ve'la-𝗥𝗘𝗦𝗚𝗙𝗧, ve'la-𝗥𝗘𝗦𝗙𝗢𝗏 𝗪 Yahushua lemor. So, and we've got the word and in the beginning, right? Ve, la, to the. Notice the la has the kamatz in the middle. That's the definite article ha. The Reubenite, right? To the Reubenite, meaning the Reubenite tribe, and to the Gadite from Gad, ve'la-𝗥𝗘𝗦𝗚𝗙. It's also with hey with patach. This is the article as well. Ve'la-𝗥𝗘𝗦𝗙𝗢𝗡, la-𝗥𝗘. This is not the article. This is the echo vowel of the chataf patach. Because you can't say le-𝗥𝗘 because of the chataf patach, having the like this. Okay, you can't have the shva here, so the vowel under that is echoed into this one. It becomes la. La-𝗥𝗘𝗦𝗙 𝗪. Okay, this is the Manasseh tribe, the tribe of Manasseh, and it's the half tribe. Remember, there were a couple of half tribes. The half tribe of Manasseh, and it's saying the Reubenite and the Gadite and the half tribe of Manasseh are the ones who received their inheritance before entering the promised land. That is on the Jordan side, the Transjordan side. Amar, past tense, Amar Yahushua lemor. So Joshua said, saying, or this is what Joshua said. So Joshua spoke to the Reubenite, the Gadite, and the half tribe of Manasseh, and he said, if we're going into the next slide. Any questions about that? I have not been reading.
Well, saying, not and he said, that would be different, right? And also you have the compensatory lengthening on the resh. You might want to remind people.
On the lamed before the resh. Yeah, that's true.
On the definite article ha, yeah that la. That's what I meant. La haruvni. Yep.
Excellent. We had this question that was relevant. What wasn't Manasseh one of Joseph's sons? Yes, his sons were Ephraim and Manasseh. So Joseph's sons were adopted as part of the 12 tribes instead, because Levi didn't receive an inheritance in the land. Remember, Levi. He was the priesthood tribe. So, as far as I remember, I'm not like a big Bible scholar. I just know the language. So,
you're pretty good, Jason. Pretty good.
Jonathan, you want to take the next one then?
Sure. Zachor et hadavar asher tzva etchem Moshe.
What's this one again?
What did I say? Where? What's what one?
I heard resh on the end. I heard tzava.
Tziva. No.
Tziva.
Yep. Etchem Moshe Eved Adonai lemor. Adonai Elohechem meniach lachem v'natan lachem et haaretz hazot. So Zachor is a comparatively uncommon form compared to the other forms. This is an infinitive absolute, which I usually call an adverbial infinitive, but in this case, it's translated as an imperative, I would say. So Zachor et hadavar, you have the infinitive as an imperative. So remember, et hadavar, et marking the direct object. So remember the word asher tziva etchem Moshe, which Moses commanded to all of you, Eved Adonai, a servant of Adonai, lemor, saying, Adonai Elohechem, Adonai your God, meniach. Meniach is from nuch, nun, vav, chet, to cause to settle. And you have also hang on a second. Sorry.
You could say he's given you
Gives
repose.
you
He's given you rest.
Rest. Yeah. I don't know. Is that a min preposition on the front of it?
No, it's this is the hifil participle.
You would expect
lehaniach.
You would expect
the hifil.
But for some reason it's meniach. Interesting. So the Lord of God, Adonai, your all's God, masculine, plural, second person suffix, will give rest lachem to all of you, v'natan lachem, and he shall give a vav consecutive perfect, or an irial perfect, as I call it, which I think I'm going to start calling them irial perfects. So don't be confused by that. So v'natan lachem, he will give to you all et haaretz hazot. Et, so what's he giving? Haaretz hazot, the land, this, or the land which is this, depending on which philosophy you follow about definite articles. But we'll talk about all of that with word order and syntax and stuff.
Yeah, the word order here is really good for comment. We had a question from Colton about whether that was a meteg again or another accent, but I'm not sure which word he was asking about.
Where?
Maybe it was on the previous slide. So this is siluk. Siluk is with sof pasuk. It's the end of the verse.
A mild disjunctive, right? This
one is meteg, because notice this is the tone syllable. This is near, but third hay roots become e with these nouns in the seglet structure, and the first syllable reduces. It's like the word pri, fruit, pri, kli, instrument, 𝗥𝗘𝗦𝗘𝗥𝗡.
No, it's not a meteg, it's a siluk. On La Uveni. Is that what you're talking about?
This one here is a meteg, marking the full vowel that's there. La Reuveni. That's odd, because I would expect there to be shiva here. Reuveni. But what it's marked as, if with this meteg, it's as if the aleph were not there. The aleph is quiescent, and this is marking this as a full long syllable.
Yeah.
La Reuveni.
This may suggest that you want to be careful when you try to date text like this, but this might suggest it has evolved into Reuben instead of Reuven.
I would like to, now that I see this, I hadn't even noticed it before, but I'd like to look at other instances of this in the text and see.
I think we both even read it as Reuveni.
Yeah.
Expecting that shiva there.
Although see if we can see another instance.
I wonder what it is in my hard copy, because I think a salute could very easily be used as a shiva.
You see what this one's pointed with a kibbutz in the first syllable. Uveni.
Yeah, usually.
And the stress is also ultimate there.
You do see Reuven with a shiva or a kibbutz sometimes.
Do you see this one also is lacking any mark under the resh?
I have never seen that. No.
And this is the third time that we've seen so far with the kibbutz under the resh. Fourth time. And this one is without anything. This is interesting. I had not actually looked at this word before, so this is something that that maybe should get some time devoted to it. You could see my logos, right?
Mm-hmm. No, we see the main.
I thought you were looking at logos with me.
No.
Okay, sorry about that. But yeah, there are a lot of instances where it has no nothing under the resh, or it has even kibbutz underneath it. So that's interesting. Septuagint in the verse 113 actually reads 𝗕𝗓𝗦𝗥𝗡𝗚, the word of the Lord, as if the Hebrew was Devar Adonai, not Hadavar. You wouldn't have Hadavar.
Yeah, you wouldn't, because a construct is definite by nature. So, yeah.
Devar Adonai. But that's fine. Like, this is what we're looking at. Previous verse in the first word. Okay, fantastic. But yeah, Devar Adonai with a construct, but 𝗕𝗓𝗦𝗥𝗡𝗚, obviously. Excellent. Moving back to the verse we were on, I wanted to ask real quick before we move on, what's the form of this word in the beginning, because it's not technically an imperative.
No, but I already said what it was.
What did you say?
I said it was an 𝗟𝗓𝗙 perfect.
No.
It's not?
Zachol?
Oh, no,
Zachol?
I said that was an infinitive absolute that you could translate it as an imperative.
Yeah. And it's the beginning of the Ten Commandments with remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Zachor et Yom HaShabbat v'taqdisho. So very nice. Cool. Any questions about this verse before we move on? Oh, we would mention quickly about word order that to us this is unmarked. So Moses, the servant Lord said, "Lord your God has given you rest."
Could you repeat
that?
You're having connection problems. The Palestinians are messing you up.
The new battery will arrive for my computer tomorrow, and then I need to take it to a shop to have it replaced, and then I will be able to move my laptop and go to the living room and connect with a LAN cable, so I won't have internet problems, hopefully. This word order, Adonai Elohechem meniach lechem, this would be what we would assume is unmarked word order, meaning that subject, verb, indirect object in this case, that this would be the normal word order if everything were just regular speech in Hebrew. Don't you agree, Jonathan?
I do. Yes.
Regarding the tzere underneath the mem, remember the word lehavin. Lehavin is to understand. Lehavin, and the participle is mevin. Mevin. Exactly the same thing. These are middle weak. Nuach, bin, that whenever they go into the participle, take tzere. Meniach, mevin.
So, can you explain to the non-modern Hebrew speakers how you classify your verb declensions, like using the infinitive instead of the main root?
How you do it in most languages.
Well,
the tendency even in Greek study today is to move away from referring to a word, for example, as grapho, and instead to refer to it either as graphen as an infinitive, or as grapsai as an infinitive. Like we're moving away from the old system of using past tense or the present tense in Greek. To say natan, he gave, is not the same as to say latet. Latet is to give.
What's your view, says Max, of the 𝗥𝗘𝗦𝗘𝗥𝗚?
𝗥𝗘𝗦𝗘𝗥.
In general. Hey, can I answer this one?
Yeah.
So I was talking about 𝗟𝗓𝗙 perfects. So the 𝗥𝗘𝗦, usually you call them vav consecutive perfects, but we don't think that's a good name because often there's nothing consecutive about them, right? Vav consecutive is usually past tense because it goes in, like for Genesis, it says vayomer, 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 or vayishlach, vayelech, or something like that. But so classically speaking, in the grammars prior to, I'll say the mid-90s, Or even with Cook's grammar, he might be one of the first to classify it as an irial perfect, which means it's a catch-all spelling of irial, IRREAL, which basically means subjunctive. I mean, that's basically what it is.
Not just subjunctive, it's modal.
Well, yeah, but
modal meaning non-indicative.
Right. So with our language, though, we'd call that subjunctive. So it's an irial perfect, which usually when you see an irial perfect, it's not strictly future. It's like if you take the Shema, for instance, it says, 𝗥𝗘𝗦𝗘𝗥𝗓𝗡 Adonai Elohecha, you shall love. The idea that you might not be doing it at the moment, but you're definitely going to do it because I'm telling you. Right? So
but even in that instance, the 𝗥𝗚𝗦𝗘𝗧 is following an imperative.
Yes, which is
Shema.
Yes.
Shema Adonai Eloheinu. Like listen to the Lord our God.
Which is also the classic understanding. The classic understanding, I think Lambden and Waltke O'Connor both say that if an irial perfect or a vav consecutive perfect follows an imperative, it should be translated as an imperative. My teacher would say, nope, the irial perfect is its own form, so you can translate it a variety of different ways based on the context of what you're looking at, which is kind of the same thing, but a little bit broader. So that's my explanation. Yeah, the 𝗥𝗘𝗦𝗘𝗥𝗡 form, not just the 𝗥𝗘𝗦.
But honestly, there is a modal katal. This is one of the things that Cook uses as a basis for his argument for 𝗥𝗘𝗦𝗘𝗥. He thinks that 𝗥𝗘𝗦𝗘𝗥 is simply katal with a phrase marker. Like the 𝗥 is just a clause breaker that starts a new clause. That the katal was actually used at some time as a type of subjunctive in many cases. This is why it appears in conditionals in which we would expect, like probably an imperfect or a 𝗥𝗘𝗦𝗪. But I mean, it has uses that are special, so it's not something we have time to get into.
Yeah,
and it would take a lot of research.
Yeah. We'll talk about, when I talk about word order, we'll talk about the functions of the imperfect or the 𝗥𝗘𝗦. But yeah, it's not strictly modal, but it is often modal, is what I would say.
But the 𝗥𝗘𝗦, I would go also with you and say that the 𝗥𝗘𝗦 is most of the time an irial or modal sense, more than it's the future.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway,
we'll talk about word order. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
So
𝗥𝗘𝗦 and 𝗥𝗘𝗦𝗘 really are interchangeable depending on the position in the writing, and also if something has been fronted for emphasis or whatever. All right, here we go. This is the next verse. Neshechem. I'm going to put on the pointer, or maybe I'll just write. Neshechem, tapchem. ומקניכם ישבו בארץ, אשר נתן לכם משה, בעבר הירדן, ואתם תעברו חמושים לפני אחיכם, כל גיבורי החיל, ועזרתם אותם. Okay, there are some interesting things here.
Can you all hear my phone going off? I'm sorry, I'll turn it on silent. Okay.
Fantastic. Neshechem is, does anybody remember? Anybody want to throw something up there? What
question for the audience.
Yes. Audience participation. Woohoo!
Yes.
Yay. Neshechem is a plural construct. Is anybody going to throw this up here?
You didn't give him enough time.
You don't have to type in Hebrew. If you don't type in Hebrew very quickly, just throw up what it is in English letters if you want. Is it? I think you're just missing an aleph instead of a vav, right?
Yeah. Yep. Well, yeah. You need your aleph. Yep.
It's aleph shin hey. Okay. This word is a little funky. It's the feminine of ish. Ish is man and isha is woman. Why does Isha become Nshechem? Remember that dagesh inside of the sheen is actually a duplicate. It's a doubled mark. It's a mark of double. So what we have theoretically is Aleph Shin Shin Hey. And that first sheen is actually the root letter Nun that's been assimilated. The root of the word is Anash, like the Arabic word for human, Enash, Bar Enash. Enash is a human. So that's the root.
Did you say Arabic or Aramaic? Or
Aramaic.
Yeah, Aramaic.
Aramaic. I don't know Arabic enough to know what roots they have. Not that I know Aramaic well enough. Okay, to make it plural, Anashim is people, the plural of Ish. In the feminine, they just drop the aleph. They say Nashim. Nashim means women. Nashim. Nashim is women. To make the construct, the im drops and it becomes a. Now the tone syllable is over with the word afterwards. This is the near syllable and it's historically long. This is a distant syllable, distant one, and it reduces to shva. So neshe means wives of. Strangely enough, we also have neshot in construct. Neshotehem. Neshotehem can mean their wives. Neshotehem or neshehem. Like either way. Neshotechem, neshechem. Both of them mean your wives. So we've got your wives, your taf. Did we have anybody comment on that? Sorry. Your women. Your women is your wives. Yes, women wives. Again, the Septuagint, let's go through these one at a time, sorry. Septuagint has some interesting omissions in this verse. 14 omits Moshe and Be'ever Yarden. So how would that work? Let's see. They will stay in the land which he gave to you, probably meaning God. God gave you. And then doesn't need that. Okay, so let's get through the translation of this. Your wives, your infants, the taf is little children that run around and, they're small. Mikneh is your livestock, the animals that you have, things that your property kind of, because livestock is what makes you rich, and this is from Kana. Liknot, buy, purchase. This is what...
Stephen, I agree with you, Stephen, on your last comment, which is this.
Could the MT be showing an addition which made it more explicit? I'm often confused about changes to the text because it's so hard to trace. Our earliest texts are 1,000 years ago. If we had texts from 2,500 years ago or 2,200 years ago, it would make things a lot easier. If we had Dead Sea Scrolls copies of all of the Bible, it would make it a lot easier to do textual criticism of the Hebrew text itself.
Let's all pray. Let's all pray to whatever God we worship or not, that we find more scrolls.
Older scrolls.
Older scrolls. Yeah.
So this is what we call a compound subject. It's 3 different subjects acting on one verb. So neshechem, tapchem, umiknechem, yeshvu. This is the imperfect, the yiktol of yashav. It's first yod. I say yashav meaning the root in the kal. It's the first yod, and first yod roots will often become ye in the future. So, but also halach. Halach becomes yelech. Yarash, he inherited. Yeresh, he will inherit. Yashav, yeshiv. So they will stay. This is the word for stay, not move. They don't go. Your women, your children, and your livestock will stay in the land. Okay, this is not the land that God is giving to you on the other side of the Jordan. But they will stay in this land right here that God has given, that Moses, your leader, has given to you. That is in the Transjordan, on the other side of the river, not in the Promised Land. These, the Reuveni, the Gadi, and the half tribe of Manasseh, all received on the other side of the river and not within Canaan proper. Ve'atem, and as for you, Tavru, you will pass over, you will cross over. Chamushim, with weapons, you will be armed. This we still use today. Someone's chamush, it means he has a weapon, a gun today. But back then, obviously, meant spears and shields and all of that. You will cross over armed before your brothers, lifnei achechem, before your brothers. Notice that the A in the construct is plural, whereas the E, achi, is singular. Achichem, your brother, and achechem, your brothers. That's the difference. Achechem, kol giborei chayil, all the military men, all the heroes of valor, men of valor. And va'azartem, and you shall help otam. You will help them. Normally, we would say va'azartem lahem. I think maybe with the direct object otam, it might mean something like, and you'll also something like you'll make them strong, because azar can also mean to make somebody strong. We think today ne'ezar is to be helped. Ani ne'ezar b'mishu acher. I'm helped by somebody else. I'm assisted by them. Ani ozer lo. I help him. But I think there's a little bit of a different sense here in that it's transitive. It takes a direct object. Let's look through. Have you gotten any questions that you've got there, Jonathan? Yeah. You've seen anything?
Yeah, and I think Jason corrected himself when he translated as livestock. I'm not sure what he said before, but you're right, Max, I think.
Taking kana is grazing instead of purchasing. It's interesting because livestock are considered money. They're considered rechush, their property. And you would use them to buy other things. So I think that mikne may have both of those. It may be an ambiguous type thing where
you translated
both means.
Sorry, I don't.
No, I translated it as livestock for sure. That's what it means. It means the animals. But I think
you did it.
But I was saying that it's connected to the idea of purchase.
Yeah. So you're right, Max. It's pretty. That's how I learned it.
But the root is also used, like in the book of Isaiah, for saying their creator. Your creator is konechem.
And kana in Aramaic is to buy as well. Oh.
That's nice, Max, to relate it to a reed. Yeah. Kaneh. Excellent. Good. I think we got everything else. All right, so we're ready to move on. Jonathan, you ready?
Yeah.
I'm going to take our pictures off of there because it's a big old post. That's a big post.
Is it 15?
Yep, on the screen.
So, Adasher.
Just to summarize the last verse, he's telling these three tribes that they're going to go in. They're going to leave their families in the land that they've received, and they're going to cross the river and go as fighters to help their brothers conquer the land. And so this verse 15, is going to tell how long. How long do they need to do this? Can they go over and fight one battle and then decide, okay, I've done enough, I'm going to go back? Or do they need to stay till the end? And this is going to answer that question. That's why we're ad asher, until.
So, yeah, and I was going to say this is interesting because this is actually continuing the previous thought. So even though you see a sof pasuk, which I think is unusual. I mean, I think usually they put the big breaks at the end of sentences, but here they're continuing what they said previously. So,
can you imagine if they wrote this as one big long verse? This one's 15 is big enough.
Yeah, that's what they're probably doing. They're probably like, screw it, we're going to break this in half. So we have ad asher yaniach Adonai la'achechem kachem I think it's v'yarashu because it's a verb. V'yarashu gam hema et haaretz asher Adonai Elohechem noten lahem v'shavtem le'eretz Yerushatechem v'rishtem. My goodness gracious. V'rishtem otah asher natan lachem Moshe Eved Adonai, ba'ever hayarden mizrach hashamesh. Wow, that was a long verse.
Brilliant. Should I have been marking that as we were reading? I'm sorry. Was the pace okay? I'm not. It's not natural to sit and follow along with somebody.
It was probably too fast to mark up. I don't. My Hebrew Union college days have gotten me much better at reading since I spend time in Hebrew all day long.
Well, do you want to go through it? Give us.
Yeah, but I coughed, so I muted myself. Like
good job. Good job. I love it.
Yes, achievement unlocked. So until Adasher, until Yaniach Adonai la'achechem, until Adonai gives your brothers rest. So if I were talking about word order, this would be a good verse.
Yeah.
Just as you. So this is verb gapping. So this is assuming the verb from the previous clause. So just as
it's because we know that he is giving you rest, right? And so like you, and he's going to do it to them also.
Yep, just as you.
Let's look real quick. Yaniach, break that down for us.
So Yaniach, you've got, and I think we ran into this before. You've got so when you diagnose Binyanim, or what's the other thing people call it, verb stems. When you diagnose Binyanim or verb stems, you're looking for, because vowels change, but usually they don't change classes, right? So usually, if we had a hifil, we would see a patach under the yod. Here we see a kamatz under the yod, but an A-class vowel is an A-class vowel. So you still have the distinctive A-class, I-class.
Can you give an example of one that's with patach that's not like this?
Well, just the regular yashmir, if you wanted to use a regular paradigm, or
is that a word though? Yashmir. How about mashach? You know mashach?
Well,
to pull.
Mashiach. Well, it wouldn't
mashach,
be that.
not Mashiach.
Yeah.
Limshoch, to pull. So how about yam shich?
Yamshich. Well, it would be yamshiach, wouldn't it? Because there's a guttural.
Because it's not chet.
It's a chaf. Okay.
Yamshich. Right. Yamshich means continue. He will go on. He will continue.
Oh, you could use yashliach. That's a hif.
So obviously the difference is here. This is a closed syllable. The closed syllable takes patach, but when you have this yaniach, it's an open syllable at the beginning to keep it full. It's kamatz, right? So
this would be a very interesting word order passage to talk about. Ad asher yaniach Adonai, until Adonai gives you rest. Achechem, to your brothers. Jason mentioned that it's a Sarah yod instead of a Hirik yod, which makes it plural.
And this is not an what? Right here.
I'm looking at the other. I'm looking at my logos thing. What are you pointing to?
The patach underneath the lamed on achechem.
Yeah.
It's not an article, right? It's an echo vowel.
Right, because it's taking on. Well, actually, the aleph is taking on the vowel of the lamed because it's a guttural. So the aleph is echoing the lamed.
If this were not there, it would still be chataf patach. Achechem is the word.
Mm-hmm.
The lamed cannot have shva, so it cancels the shva and takes patach as an echo.
You mean
because you can't have shva on the lamed. You can't take shva on right next to shva when they're both vocal. You can't do it.
Oh yeah. Shva. Yep.
And chataf vowel is a shva for all intents and purposes. Yaniach. This is interesting. I'm sorry to take us on a little bit of a tangent, but this is now the second time that we see this idea of God giving the people rest. until the Lord gives your brothers rest as he has to you, right? This comes up in the book of Hebrews in the New Testament, saying that if they had entered my rest, blah, blah, blah. It's something that I don't think that I've ever really paid attention to in the book of Joshua, but now that I'm reading it and going through it, that connection is becoming stronger. I don't know if anybody else has thought about that. Right, Max, exactly. Not an article.
I want somebody among our Hebrew scholars to parse 𝗔𝗕𝗏. Anyone?
I wish we had a little music button we could do.
Yeah, we should get the Jeopardy
play a
theme
game
going. Yeah. 𝗔𝗕𝗏.
Because we're talking a lot about the verb forms, and so it's really important just to be able to recognize them. By the way, Adele, who might still be among our listeners, he said hello at the top, and I haven't seen anything since. He's going to be in my Deuteronomy course that we're going to be doing something similar to this, but more structured. We're starting on December 5th.
Yes, 𝗥𝗚𝗚𝗏. An aerial.
Not 𝗥𝗘𝗦𝗚𝗏, but 𝗥𝗚𝗚𝗏.
Yeah, 𝗥𝗚𝗚𝗏. Very good, Rasmus.
Because the form is for the third masculine singular 𝗥𝗘𝗦 is 𝗥𝗓𝗓. 𝗥𝗓𝗓.
So
you go
ahead, Jason. Sorry.
𝗥𝗓𝗓 divided 𝗏 on the front, 𝗥𝗓𝗓.
So one of the things that you might be interested to know is that usually we say when you have a closed unaccented syllable, it's a short vowel. So you might read this as 𝗥𝗓𝗓. However, if it's in the call, and you know the call perfect takes A-class vowels, you know that the vowels aren't going to change. So this is actually 𝗔𝗕𝗏. So
yeah, do you know why this happens?
I do
History.
Not. Well, yeah.
Originally, when the U syllable was added, it didn't drop the syllable. It didn't drop the vowel. The word was 𝗥𝗓𝗓, and when you had the vocalic endings a for she and u for they, you just added the ending. So it's 𝗥𝗓𝗓, 𝗥𝗓𝗓, 𝗥𝗓𝗓. 𝗥𝗓𝗓 she inherited or took as a possession. 𝗥𝗓𝗓, 𝗥𝗓𝗓. But with time, the vocalic ending started to pull the accent. So 𝗥𝗓𝗓, 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 𝗥𝗓𝗓. They just dropped the vowel, and so it kept the original long vowel in the beginning, dropped the one that was being de-emphasized, and put the stress on the end. So 𝗥𝗓𝗓 became 𝗥𝗓𝗓. יישמרו became יישמרו with a vocal shva. And we see these forms in pause. These appear in the Bible when they go into pause, when they bear sof pasuk or etnachta, especially sometimes rivya. When they bear these pause accents, you will see instead of 𝗥𝗓𝗓, what you learn in the grammar, you will see 𝗥𝗓𝗓, which is the accented middle of the word. Really beautiful. Pause is an amazing feature of Hebrew because it shows the history of the language.
Yep. So
Colton says it's the principle of the lazy mouth. Too many full vowels. It's absolutely true.
Yeah, I saw that. So if you're going to call them aerial perfects like I would, you would say, they shall also possess. And you have 𝗔𝗕𝗏, right?
But don't forget that all of this is subsumed under the 𝗏 𝗏. 𝗏 𝗏 is going to be followed by some kind of imperfect, some kind of future. So 𝗏 𝗏 yaniach, 𝗔𝗕𝗏. This is also the future.
Mm-hmm.
So until God gives them peace, and they also dispossess the land.
So then you have but what's weird here is that you don't need the hema because you already have the third common plural ending. So you would say 𝗔𝗕𝗏. You could just say 𝗔𝗕𝗏 et haaretz asher Adonai Elohechem noten lahem. Right?
You could, definitely.
So then,
but this is here because
you have this gam hema Or Jason, do you say Hema or Hema? 𝗥𝗚𝗦𝗧𝗢
Yes.
is adding very much emphasis, because you could just have the Hema, which by itself would have an emphasis, but you have gum as well.
Well, and that would show that there's a lot of emphasis built into this, because you also don't
Right.
need to say kachem in the first phrase.
Mhm.
עד אשר יניח אדוני לאחיכם וירשו את הארץ.
Mhm.
Till God gives them peace, or gives them rest, and they inherit the land. But the kachem is emphasizing you, and 𗥕𝗦𝗧𝗢 is emphasizing them. So it's like it's a nice play, bouncing from you to them.
So, and we talked about the 𝗥𝗓𝗏𝗛 𝗨𝗏 lachem, which the Lord your God is about to give you, and a
To them.
participle that to them. The participle that focuses on immediacy. There's a name for it, I don't remember. You can find it in a grammar, but I learned it initially as, if you translate it as God is giving them, it's as good as done. But there's a better grammatical explanation. Participles can be used to either, if it's in direct speech, I hereby give you, here, which Adonai your God is about to give you, or to them, sorry. And then it says v'shavtem, another aerial imperfect. Colton, which, okay, you guys are talking. So then you will return. So you can take the vav as a clause marker, or you could just say you shall return to the land.
I like it. I like how you say then, because all of the עד אשר this, and this, and then you shall return to your inheritance.
Mm-hmm. A
That's
vav
good.
is just a vav at its core is merely a clause marker. So it's up to you all to determine what relationship you want the clauses to have to each other. So you could say, then you will return. You could just say, you will return, and say that it's just marking a new clause, and you don't need to translate it. So that's why I like Hebrew so much. There are so many different ways sometimes to translate a given clause. So then you shall return to the land Yerushatchem. So you have the Yarash again, the possess. So the land of your possessing.
Or your inheritance. Like
Right.
if your grandmother dies, she gives you a Yerusha.
Or your inheritance, yep.
Well, sadly, my grandmother died and didn't give me an inheritance, but she gave me love my whole life, and that's enough. Yerusha is what somebody gives to you when they die. So Eretz Yerushatchem is the land that you inherit, your inheritance.
And then v'rishtem, and I note that the Septuagint deletes this phrase actually, v'rishtem ota. V'rishtem. Why?
Yeah, it's not necessary.
It's
look what happens when you get rid of it.
Yep, you don't need it.
ושבתם לארץ ירושתכם אשר נתן לכם משה עבד אדוני. Good enough. You don't need it.
Yep, you don't. v'rishtem ota asher noten lachem Moshe, asher natan lachem Moshe, which Moses gave to you, which is interesting, right?
Because in this case, these guys have already entered into their inheritance. They've already received the land, so it was given.
Right, but then it says God is giving you, but Moses already
gave. Is giving is the brothers who haven't entered the land yet.
Yes, good point. 𝗥𝗓𝗦𝗘𝗥𝗓𝗏 Adonai, construct noun, and this is also deleted, I think, because it's just it's lacking in the Septuagint. It's weird. It disrupts the flow. But ever hayarden. But ever, this is opposite, opposite, not passing over.
Remember Ever Yarden is a place name, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ever Yarden is the Transjordan. It's on the other side of the Jordan River.
Mizrach Hashamesh. So Mizrach is the rising of, because it's construct, and Hashamesh is Hashemesh. But as Jason says, at pause, at the end of a clause, or at a disjunctive accent, a heavy.
It shows the history. It shows the history of the word, because this word in ancient Hebrew would have been, like Proto-Hebrew, would have been shamsu.
And what is shamash in modern Hebrew, Jason?
You mean shamash?
Yes, I do. A
servant.
Yes. Interesting.
Mizrach is the place of the rising. The mem prefix is it's where the sun rises. You're lucky because also in our first session you got Mevo Hashamesh, if you remember, and that's the place where the sun goes in. It's the west, and now you have Mizrach Hashamesh, the place where the sun comes out.
I need to step up for a couple minutes. So take it. Take the next one.
All right, I'm taking you off the thing for a minute. All right, so let's look through. Narcissus in academia. Anything that I've lost here? 𝗥𝗘𝗦𝗘𝗥𝗡 is covered really well in John Cook's book on time in the Hebrew verb, which is really fantastic, and it's available on Logos for not. I don't think it costs too much at all. Maybe I'm gonna change my screen sharing settings, move it to just put everything that's on my second screen, and then I will pull over Logos onto there, and I can show that to you real quick while Jonathan's away. Let me open my library, please. And then Logos decides to act funny. Okay, there we go. John Cook. Time in biblical Hebrew verb. Let's float that window out. So this book here is just fantastic and deals. This is the table of contents. Deals with so much regarding the development of the Hebrew verb, the 𝗥𝗘𝗦𝗥𝗘𝗦𝗥𝗚𝗏 as a modal expression in conditionals, and so much. This is a seminal book that needs to be dealt with by anyone who is interested in tense as it relates to Hebrew. So I don't know how much it cost because it's been a while since I bought it on Logos, but it's called Time and the Biblical Hebrew Verb, the Expression of Tense, Aspect, and Modality in Biblical Hebrew. So worth your time and the mental investment. So if you have the option, you should definitely get your hands on that book. Okay, we'll go back to the bottom and switch over. This is the next. I wanted to make a comment about one verb here, ורשתם, which we see. I want to say ורשתם because the word is yarash, and this is וקטל. This is וקטל, which Jonathan would say again. What did he say? A irreal perfect. I guess that's how he said it. Irreal perfect. The word yarash, right? Whenever you add endings, should become, because this is tem, yerashtem. But when we add the ve, right, the two shvas together, cancel the second one. The first goes to e, making this a full vowel. V. Virashtem, there is analogy between these two vowels. Instead of virashtem, which we would expect, it becomes virishtem, which is an interesting switch. We see it in other places where what we would expect for patach turns out to be chirik, like I believe where he said Today I have become your father. Yelidticha. Not Yeladeticha, Yelidticha. Let's look at that real quick before we go back into what we've been doing. Let's. I think it's Psalm chapter 1, isn't it? Psalm chapter 2. Today I've become your father. Jonathan, you remember? Is it chapter 1 or chapter 2?
For what?
Where he says, Yelidticha.
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about because I just got back, but.
This is, I will tell them, oh, okay, this is Psalm chapter 2, verse 7. All right. Asapra el chok Adonai, amar elai b'ni ata, ani hayom yelideticha, not yeladeti, but yelideticha. The patach switched to chirik. I don't know what caused that, but it's just something to remember. And so the same thing that happened with yeladeti becomes yelideticha. The same thing happened here with yerashtem. Yerashtem become virishtem.
Jason,
there's a switch from patach to.
Did you answer Max's question about unmarked word order?
Takes a completely unmarked view, doesn't it?
I don't know what you're referring to specifically.
Yeah, I don't know what completely unmarked means.
But completely unmarked would be verb, or would be subject, verb, object. But in his and Homestead's view, there are a variety of things that you can add to the clause that would cause it to invert. So we'll talk about that when I do my word order study.
Not just a variety, but so many. Like the inversion is so very common. You know, the whole asher clauses, the verb consecutive. There's so many things that cause word order inversion that people think that it's the standard word order, and it's not, or unmarked word order.
Yeah, the view that 𝗥𝗘𝗦𝗘 is not marked for anything. 𝗥𝗘𝗦𝗘 is marked. It's an irreal marker. But it doesn't have to be. But it doesn't have to be. You're right. A vav in and of itself on the front of a verb doesn't necessarily make it irreal, but usually it's a good marker of irreal. I always told
just like there are times when the 𝗥𝗘𝗦𝗘 means the regular future, you know, so the 𝗥𝗘𝗦 as a past. So sometimes the 𝗥𝗘𝗦 is just like ve and 𝗥𝗘𝗦 as a perfect.
Yep.
Like there are times when it's this and times when it's that. That's the more complex, the more difficult one. We are down to about 2 minutes left, so I just want to run through this one so quickly to get us a couple of verses from the end of the chapter, I think. And then we will be done. Remember that next week we are going to be doing this on Monday at 5 o'clock. We're moving to Monday, and I hope that will be our normal time slot. After this session, we are doing wine green. Basically, immediately after, we're going to cut off here and then start up a new session. The link is on the YouTube channel under live, the tab live. That's what we're going to do immediately after this. Jonathan, have you got Google Docs loaded up?
I do not, but I will.
Go ahead and do that, and I'll just read through this real quickly, and we'll be done. Vayanu et Yehoshua lemor. We would normally expect Yehoshua or El. They answered to him, but you can answer et also. So you could say Vayanu oto. They answered him, which is okay, but Vayanu lo. They answered to him. Kol asher tzivitanu. Everything that you commanded us. Tzivitanu. The tanu is tzivita. Tzivita, you ordered, you commanded. Tzivita. ภิkēliūsas in Greek. Tzivitanu. You commanded us. Everything which you ordered us or you commanded us, nase. And that, you notice that stop, that zakef katon, that's a pause. Kol asher tzivitanu nase. Ve'el kol asher tishlechenu So because this is dealing with a place, you send somebody to a place. We're going to translate this of el kol asher. We're going to translate an anywhere. Anywhere you send us, we will go.
Jason,
whatever you command us, we will do, and wherever you send us, we will go.
Do you write with a mouse?
I can.
Oh, okay, good. I was like, wow, that's really good for a mouse.
It's a pen that's designed for Windows. I don't know, for touchscreens. Okay, fantastic, guys. We need to move on to the other session. We will look up Gesenius section 44D for an explanation. Anybody who's interested, that's Gesenius is the best Hebrew grammar. You need it. You have to have it. It's online, but it's better that you go ahead and buy yourself a copy because it's something that everybody needs to have. So 44D deals with the form virishtem, which you can go look at. It will probably touch on 𝗥𝗘𝗦𝗧𝗢 also, but I'm going to end the screen here and move over to the other one. We'll see you there. Come over for wine green. Woo!
Yes.
See you guys in a minute.
Wait. Gandalf says John Cook's dissertation is available online. It is. John Cook.
Go get it.
John Cook specialized.
Let's move. Let's bring it up in the next stream. Let's go.
All right. Fine. Cool.